And Woody is going to make that point as well. But let's start in the NBA playoffs. Speaking of one of the best players, this guy was pretty good last night. So his coach told LeBron he needed to be a little more aggressive offensively early. Well, how about opening the night on a personal 13-0 run? He outscored the Pacers by 2 in the first quarter. But in the end, his team had to hold on for dear life at the end. Cavaliers do get a win, 197, to even up their series with Indiana. LeBron with 46 points and 12 rebounds. But again, Oladipo has a shot in the air late in that game that would have tied it. Who knows what would have happened. And so we are 1-1 headed to Indiana, and it sets up sort of an interesting question. Beetle, I'll start with you because I know Jalen will get deeply into this. Do you emerge from last night after a Cavaliers win more confident or potentially less confident in what they're capable of?
Well, I was already on the side thinking the Cavs were not going to the finals this year.
You've been consistent with
this particular series would also be a struggle for them. So this has very many memories of last year's finals where they had to have the one historic game where everything went right, and that was the only win they got in that entire series. That's what yesterday felt like. Like I said, LeBron is LeBron. He's the greatest player on the planet. I'm not taking anything away from that. But he had an amazing night, and they only won by 3. That's
You've been consistent with that, and I appreciate it. LeBron James showed us yesterday why I think they're still going to win the Eastern Conference. Because of him. Other guys can be inconsistent, but when it's a big game, and yesterday was, because we all know what happens if they go down 0-2 versus the Indiana Pacers who go home for games 3 and 4. If they lose that game, they lose the series. So he comes out, and he's aggressive. It made me think LeBron probably was watching Get Up yesterday.
Yeah, that's exactly
what we talked about.
Yeah, you said he needed to be more aggressive. His coach said he needed to be more aggressive. I am starting to lean a little bit Beatles' way. I have been completely on the LeBron bandwagon. And yes, I still trust him more than I trust every other individual player in the East put together. But I thought they would win that game handily last night. And if LeBron needs to play like that for his team to even have a chance to win in this series, it actually does give me pause.
But you can't take for granted that Kevin Love actually left the game due to a left thumb injury, so that put more pressure on LeBron James. But again, the way he came out and started the game is why I still feel like they're the favorites to win the Eastern Conference.
All right, so that was the big story from the NBA on the court last night. There was very sad news out of the NBA yesterday, and by now you may be aware that Erin Popovich, who is the wife of Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, died after battling an illness for an extended period of time. She's survived by her husband, Greg, of over 4 decades, as well as their children, Jill and Mickey, and 2 grandchildren. Now, the Spurs are scheduled to play Game 3 of their series tonight against Golden State. It is not yet known if Pop will coach that game. There was a lot of reaction, as you would imagine, around the league yesterday. It began with LeBron James.
I love Pop. That's such a tragedy, and you know, my best wishes goes out to Pop and his family. I know that's devastating news, and holy shit. It's just a lot. I mean, the NBA family, we all stick together. I know we compete every night, but something like this happens, it puts everything in perspective.
Just want Pop to know that the whole NBA family is supporting him, and you know, got his back through it all. It's bigger than the game. It's bigger than winning or losing. It's about the brotherhood that we built as NBA players, everybody in the NBA family. So feel so bad for Pop and his family. That's tough to hear about.
I see the emotion in particular on the face of LeBron James, and obviously you know that team so well. Was this known? I will tell you that when I heard this news, it took me completely by surprise, but you were telling me this morning that people close to him knew that she'd been ill for a while.
Yeah, she had been sick for quite some time. I mean, it just goes to show you how insulated the Spurs family can stay when they want to, and they don't really want all of their news out there, and Pop and his family have been dealing with that for a very long time, and to hear it yesterday was, even though, you know, they had known for a while, it doesn't make it any easier to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to send my prayers and condolences to him and his family. It's a devastating time, obviously, and I just want to send strength and support.
Yeah, it's amazing because Greg Popovich is a person that I have never met in person in my entire life. I know that you know him. I did not, and I've certainly never met his wife, and yet when I first heard that news, it was like a member of the family had died. It just goes to show you that when people have been as famous as he has been, for as long as he has been, you feel as though you know them, and you feel as though you have a connection to them, whether I agree with everything he says and does or not. A connection that is obviously completely disproportionate to the reality, because I've never met him at all. So certainly sad news across the NBA yesterday. With that said, we move forward now and catch you up on everything that's happened in the world of sports. It's Get Up and Go, and it's sponsored by Post-it. Let's catch you up on all the news. And Jalen touched on this briefly. Further concern for the Cavs. Kevin Love has a partially torn ligament in his left thumb. Now, they said he could have gone back in the game last night. He didn't. How concerned do you think we should be about this, Jalen?
I'm more concerned about Kevin Love's thumb injury than I am that LeBron James needed to have a dominant performance in order for them to win.
That's fair.
Without Kevin Love, who gets overlooked in the dynamics of all-star level players, if he's compromised, that will then cause them to not win the conference.
There's bad news there. How about Oklahoma City? The Jazz take game 2 to even that series up with the Thunder. A 28-point performance from Donovan Mitchell. So he has 55 points in his first 2 playoff games. That's the most by any guard in NBA history, passing Michael Jordan.
Here's the deal. Every one of us that voted in the MVP, rookie, all that stuff, don't you now wish we could go back? This thing has to be done after the season, after the entire season.
Huh?
Why are we voting for this stuff after the regular season?
So we can still argue who's better between him and Ben Simmons?
Like, this happens and I'm just going, oh, now I don't know what I did.
But does this put him ahead of Ben Simmons? Would it change your mind?
Well, no, because now we got to see what Ben Simmons does.
He might have an appetite.
That's why you got to cut it off at some point.
There were 3 games last night. The third, the 1 seed, Houston, and Chris Paul leading the Rockets to an easy win over the Timberwolves. CP3 had 27, 8 assists, and just 1 turnover. James Harden did not have a good night last night. Karl Anthony Towns has been a complete no-show in this series, Jalen Rose.
What you saw from the Houston Rockets is why they are a legitimate team to possibly win it all this year. When James Harden struggles, they can still find a way to win versus quality opponents.
Here's Towns. As I mentioned, he had just 5 points last night, so that's 13 points.
What?
In his first 2 playoff games. He's shooting 5 of 18 from this series. He is, I'm not going to say he's supposed to be, he is a tremendous player, Jalen. Why has he been non-existent in these first 2 games?
Here's what we don't do in the media that happens in the locker room. Give Clint Capella credit.
Yeah.
He's outplaying them. He's locking them down defensively. Oh, and he's scoring and getting rebounds and blocks on the other end.
13 points.
Yes, indeed. Actually, when somebody is suffocating you defensively, you can't get your shots off. That's what I'm seeing happen. Look at the highlights and look who's standing in front of him. It's not an accident.
Then look at what happened at halftime.
What?
This was the halftime entertainment at the Rockets.
Now that's entertainment right there.
Listen to me. This is only going to get better, okay? Just roll this as long as we can, because it is only just beginning. That to me is a miracle.
What's happening right now?
The best part hasn't happened yet. Stand by. That one's good. This one's better. But the best one is yet to come.
How can there be?
Look at this. Look at that.
Wow.
How do you decide,
That's
like,
a windmill
hey,
right there,
this?
breakdance style.
How many injuries must have taken place during the learning how to do this?
And what about
I don't know. What, do you on a couch one day and you're like, hey, I got an idea?
the dexterity? He's limber. That's
could use that,
phenomenal
though.
by both individuals.
Don't you think that's good for the back? I feel like that would be good for the back.
That was